Hello, everyone, and welcome to Petite to Queen's Claim Your Career Con podcast. I'm your host, Lynn, and today I'm joined by my very special guest, Sheryl Lynn, and we're going to be talking about why a chair of joy helps you feel better now. And this is so transformational. I want to tell you a little bit about Sheryl. She is the founder of JOYELY LLC. Her leadership abilities and experiences help her approach client issues with a practical, solution-based focus. Sheryl's experience include roles as the founder and owner of a successful family-owned consulting firm, where she was the director of marketing and public relations. She has also been in the business development director role for several firms in the consumer packaging good industry. Sheryl led organizations where she worked with business owners and entrepreneurs on their business, marketing, and strategic plans, team and leadership development, and creating effective marketing efforts. As the founder of JOYELY Studios, Sheryl creates mindful practices and experiences to shift the collective consciousness towards making joy the dominant vibration on the planet, which is a beautiful thing. Sheryl's touchstone is the chair of joy, a beautiful white padded throne with gold trim. You can see her sitting in it right now, where she invites executives, thought leaders, musicians, celebrities, politicians, and other influencers to tell their stories of what brings them joy while seated either in her chair or their own. And magic happens. It's that pure and simple. We're going to be talking about that a lot today. And Sheryl, thank you so much for joining me. I am really honored and thrilled to have you here.
Thank you very much for inviting me, Lynn. You are spectacular in all of your work, and I couldn't be more honored to be here in the opportunity to share more about our work together as well.
Well, this is going to be a terrific show. And for those of you who are joining us for that very first time, don't miss a single episode of Claim Your Career Crown wherever you get your podcasts. And you can subscribe on any platform. And while we're there, if you love what we're doing and you love the show, please leave us that 5-star review. We would very much appreciate it. So Sheryl, I really want to have you share your backstory with our audience about what inspires you to get started on your journey of joy and how you have brought it forward into the world.
So that is a really long-winded answer, and I'm just going to keep it really short. So living joyily is an opportunity for everyone to step into their power and really take their joy back, or give themselves permission to A, know what joy feels like for probably the very first time, and B, how to bring it to others. And you know what, Lynn, I think over the 30 years of all those events and opportunities and jobs and career paths, and now I have a very successful consulting company that I have my family as part of. They always put me out in front of people. I was always like the director, the events coordinator, the business development. And I loved talking to people. And what I noticed over a bit of time was that we were all, including me, bringing our old story back into the picture. What was wrong, what was broken, what we didn't want. And frankly, we were all exhausted, and I couldn't put my finger on what it was. And so my story is very simple. I come from a long list of dysfunction, and I just wanted to know that there was another way. My 3 children are now grown and they're young ladies, and they're figuring it out themselves. And my drive is to make sure that joy isn't something that we search for our entire lives.
Yeah, well, that is really beautiful. And I know, because I know you so well, that you have a very effective process that you can feel better now in 60 seconds or less, whether this is for an individual or with the programs that you implement for businesses. Can you tell our listeners about that and how they can use this so that they can feel better right now?
Thank you for asking that. The story that I just told you, I did it for myself. So I don't know if you know Bill Wilson from Alcoholics Anonymous or his story, but back in the late 30s, he called himself a drunk. That's what they called themselves back in the day, was a drunk. And so he said, he couldn't figure it out. He went to all the surgeries. They were going to do a lobotomy, like all the things that that he did to try to figure out his own path to health and healing, and he couldn't figure it out. So he started, developing a book, and it ended up calling it Alcoholics Anonymous. And what's happened since then, there's chapters in all countries in the world now. And so that's what the process of the framework of the Chair of Joy is for me. So it's sit, breathe, think, and feel. And those are 4 words that have great scientific and neuroscience leaders that I work with, who give it a lot of credibility as far as why each of those of the 4 steps, sit, breathe, think, and feel, can impact us on a daily basis. So I did it for myself before anything else, and I created it for everyone for free. It's the vision that I have is 8 billion people know the words Chair of Joy and what to do when you get there. So I don't know if you want me to go deep into each of those just yet, Lynn, but that's the framework, and I'm on this planet. My mission, my drive, everything I stand for is to make sure that my legacy is to have everyone in the world know. I don't know if you can see my screen, but I'm going to hold this over here. Is that everyone in the world literally knows the words Chair of Joy, and we start to bring light through the colors of yellow and white, which are my company colors. And I just think that raising the vibration or the energy or the resonance around the conversation of living joyily ever after versus happily ever after, we can do a lot in our country for ourselves and each other.
Yeah, absolutely. I think one of the great things, and to your point, we can go through the whole process. You can watch Sheryl's video, but how you also incorporate this in your business for helping both individuals and companies. And I'd really be interested when you're approaching this. Let's go with individuals, because you have a membership program so that people can learn how to adopt this practice into their life. Can you tell us a little bit about that and how that serves them?
Absolutely. So like I said in the beginning, I did this for me, right? So that I could get out of my funk and worry and fear and chaos and stress, like all the emotions that I'm told that I shouldn't focus on. I seem to somehow have them come up. And then I learned that if you ignore them and you don't give them the time or the light of day, they will manifest into more chaos and more craziness, right? And so it's all about the law of attraction, the law of resilience, the law of what's that word? Oh my gosh.
Represide.
Both of us. Law.
Yes, no, now we both got it.
Monday morning.
We all know what it is. Reciprocity.
Yes.
I got it out.
Yes. So it comes around, right, over and over again. So the fact that I was like, if I could just get through these emotions on an individual basis, that what would happen in my business? So I've taken the Chair of Joy out now about 3 years, 5,000 or more people have sat in it. I've been to 100 cities. And what I'm noticing is that because it's so fun for me, and I use the principles, the practice of sit, breathe, think, and feel every day, sometimes 3 times a day, or sometimes more, sometimes less. I notice that I can get myself over those emotions and back into a higher state of being. And so what's happening, Lynn, is that companies are starting to use this in their approach to their culture. So they can create a haven, a natural, organic, and unfolding of paying attention to people personally, because it's the whole being that works for a company, and professionally. But individually, when I use the program, I can get back to making decisions better. I can be a better leader. I can show up in a way that I'm more productive and resilient, and I am more engaged. I can communicate better. And guess what? That all starts to affect the bottom line. So it's very cyclical between individual and work and companies, but it all really is intertwined. It's so tightly woven that you can't really separate one from the other.
Well, that's true. And I agree that doing it for yourself, how that obviously it just flows out and it flourishes into all aspects of your life. And that's wonderful. But when you approach a business, let's sort of take it to the other turn. You have a very methodical, evidence-based proven system that you help businesses implement so that they can, have this for their employees or team members as part, it becomes part of their culture, so that the team members really do feel that they're being supported and they have this additional way to, not only sort of deal with the stress of the moment or whatever they happen to have in their, either at work or even at home, what they bring to work, but it helps them then become more engaged and connected to everyone within the business. So can you tell us a little bit about how that works and why it's so effective in the corporate or, B2B business world?
Well, I like everyone listening to think about themselves first, right? Imagine calming your mind, clarity of thinking, self-awareness, emotional awareness, that you're able to accurately be assessing yourself all day long, that you have emotional resistance, creativity. If all those things were enhanced, how does that affect your bottom line, right? So there's some research, actually, Lynn, your team helped provide this from a major German enterprise software company that said when you have an employee well-being core based strategy like the Living Joyely and the Chair of Joy, every 1% increase in employee well-being increases to $900 to $100 million in profits. So that's a large company, right? But the idea is that if you just increased the percentage of what people feel or understand about this word joy, which by the way, I think is a very highly overrated and underutilized correctly feeling and emotion, that what happens if we were to really understand it, prioritize it, and make our standard of joy raised just by 1%. So the things that are happening, I'm noticing that employees are feeling valued. Their communication, empathy, and curiosity is going through the roof. And then think of a doctor who's like, oh man, somebody just passed, or that didn't go so well, or that communication with that family was really difficult, or whatever the thing is. And then they have to go right back into surgery. So we're talking with corporations about that, and how can we make that doctor sit in his chair of joy and do the practice of sit, breathe, think, and feel, and really get good at it, right? It's a simple thing. It's not always easy to implement. So when people are doing that, no matter what you do in the world, it's bound to impact your results on a whole new level. Like literally, we are an experiment right now. It's so much fun. We don't even know what's possible when people are doing the framework of the Chair of Joy. And I'm excited to work with everyone to find out.
Yeah, that's really brilliant. So another question is that I'm curious that as you're working with different people, even if they're coming to a live event that you hold and they're sitting in the Chair of Joy, or you're talking to a business or an individual about the membership program, what do you find holds people back that they may be hesitant or reticent about?
So if you don't mind, I'd love to tell you a little story about that. I was, but prior to me knowing the Chair of Joy, you just have regular conversations with people and you don't really know what's going on. So I start every meeting now with the Chair of Joy. And I was speaking with this one woman. She works for Homeland Security, or her job is to check on terrorist attacks worldwide. That's her job. Imagine every single day focusing on that. And you could tell that she was wanting to be in the conversation and present, but it wasn't. So I said, do you mind if I share the Chair of Joy experience with you? Anyway, long story short, she did the sit. She took a couple of deep breaths. She thought about a moment of joy. And she didn't say anything. I let her continue until the end. I asked her to feel that in her body. And when we were done, I asked her to see if she would share with me what that was. And she said, when you asked me to take a deep breath, I couldn't. She said, I was so scared to just go, because she told me her brother had just passed away 42 days prior to that. And taking a deep breath was quite scary for her, but she said she did it. And when I asked her what her brother, or if she could think of a memory, what it was. And she said, I actually saw my brother sitting next to me on the couch next to me. We were talking about going to the beach and drinking a beer. So can you see the barriers, the obstacles of getting to work and to getting to completion of the things that you love? There are so many, I could go on, but it's different for everyone based on our own story and our trauma. Did I answer your question, Lynn?
Yes, you did. And of course, you brought tears to my eyes. It's so beautiful.
Oh.
And wow. Oh, all right. All right. So I want,
Those are the stories, Lynn. Those are the stories happening over and over again. Like I even have my podcast, As If Diamonds Could Talk. Like what's the way to share more messages about the impact of this for people? And of course we have J Hour every Monday, right? We invite people to, so that's one place to get started.
absolutely. And that's a perfect tie-in to what listeners should do next. And of course, you can tell them about J Hour where they can come every week. But what should listeners do next? To put and bring and feel more joy in their life.
So we say living joyily. We want people to understand that happiness is external, like eating an ice cream cone, right? And living joyily is like way beyond joy. Like it's joy on steroids right now. So we invite people. We're actually gathering leaders is what we're doing. Everybody has an opportunity to lead, and it's very simple. And what's happening is, as you learn this process and you start seeing results, all these light bulbs are going off where people are like, oh, and then I did this, and then that happened, and then that came, and that person said something. And so we have gathered a community of those leaders, and I invite everyone to come. It doesn't take long to become one of our leaders, but to come into J Hour and start listening to the stories and start incorporating it. So like you said, every Monday at noon Central Time, we gather for 1 hour. It's our weekly networking group just to check in. We give away a White Diamond Award and some amazing products. We have a new yoga mat and new mouse pad that say, sit, breathe, think, and feel to get us back in our activity. And then of course we have our VIP membership, and that's for those people who want a community. You know, like I said, this is free, the opportunity to learn the Chair of Joy, but what about having a community of people doing the same? Let's find those people and gather. Then what's possible, Lynn? Like you're a superstar, and I love having you part of the Living Joyly movement.
Yeah, well, it is truly transformational. I can attest to that. Sheryl, thank you so much for sharing why a Chair of Joy helps you feel better now. And I know that you have inspired so many people, but they're going to want to know, our listeners, where and how they can find out more about you, Sheryl.
So so I have a question for you. The website is joyely.com, JOYELY.com, JOYELY.com. Could you leave us, Lynn, with just a 60-second story about your own Chair of Joy, about when you discovered where your chair was and what happened when you went there, or how often you go?
Sure. So my Chair of Joy is, and this was a brilliant, this entire part of learning this has really helped me. And I realized I've been doing something similar in certain ways, but now I have this method that I can do this in 60 seconds or less. And my Chair of Joy is out on my deck, but I don't have to physically be there. I can still visualize it. But the key thing is you sit, you put your feet flat on the ground. You want to be able to connect to the earth. And even if it's on a deck or it's on a boat, wherever you are, feet flat on the ground, sitting up, and then you take those deep breaths. And when you think about that, it's one of the most calming things that you can do. And when you're in a moment of stress and you take that deep breath, and then you want to think about a moment of joy. And so we were just talking about a brother. I went through this, and I thought about my brother and I, who has also passed, on a beach together. So don't want to get all emotional, but there we were, and it was so wonderful. And then you feel that emotion. And when you go through that, even in a moment of high stress, you go through the sit, breathe, think, feel in 90 seconds, 60 seconds, I should say. It can take as long as you want, but you can do it in 60 seconds. You will truly feel better. And you can start to refocus your brain and rethink, okay, this is where I'm at. Now, what do I need to do next? And it's amazing how the clarity and the energy comes back to you, because it's like a gift you give yourself. It is so powerful. And then I can get back to it, and it is phenomenal. So I'm a believer. I'm a believer.
It is indeed transformational, and so is this. Every time we have talks, and the emotion that is evoked because of the chair of joy is strong, and it actually gives you goosebumps. And I actually joined a Facebook group that's doing a study on feeling those chills and raising the hairs on your body and how that impacts the brain. So keep doing it, Lynn. You're doing all the right things. I'm so happy to know you.
Well, and Sheryl, thank you. And thank you so much. This has been such an informative discussion. And for everyone who joined us, thank you for tuning in. And if you have any ideas you'd like to share, we love hearing your thoughts. You can leave us a comment down below. And if you have a specific question or would like to suggest a topic for discussion, you can email us at jointheconversation@petitequeen.com. And to stay current on all of our insightful advice, our breakthrough advantages, and incredible episodes like the one today, you can sign up for our weekly wisdoms newsletter at petitequeen.com. And once again, I want to thank everyone who tuned in. We're going to be sure to have all of Sheryl's links right down below, so she is one click away, including the link to J Hour. And Sheryl, thank you so much. I really appreciate your coming on today.
You're very welcome. And let's bring a chair of joy to every city in the community. Thank you for the opportunity.